A new Tampa Bay Business Journal hits newsstands today, and as always, editor Alexis Muellner is here now to talk about some of the week's big stories. Good morning, happy Friday to you. You've got a warning for us all, showing us how to avoid scams. Apparently, Florida has a lot of scams.
Well, a whole lot, and it's been an issue for a long time. And in the broader scope, the more Florida is seen as a place where you can't reliably do business, it affects the overall business culture. But the brokerage industry and those who regulate financial services are fighting back a bit. Even brokers who have a perfect record, like Bob Doyle, who has a wealth management firm, is really urging his clients to really be much more diligent about that. And as many as 80% of folks over 40 in Florida are at some point sort of approached for something fraudulent. So
80%.
It's a huge amount. I mean, we all had those kinds of experiences, but the fact is that in order to make things better, we have to, there's many fronts, and the story by our Margie Manning really illustrates all sort of what's going on in this front.
Absolutely. You also have a story about federal regulators approved Staples' $6.3 billion deal to buy Office Depot. That means some stores are going to go dark, but how's it going to affect the Bay Area? Well,
it's an interesting deal. It's likely that that's going to be, approved, but there are a lot of both stores in the area, and it might seem that a bunch of those are going to go dark, and that might be bad news, but in fact, no. The retail industry is really tight. There's about a 6% vacancy rate, and there are some really interesting grocer concepts. We talked a few weeks about Sprouts potentially looking here, and some of these sort of boxes are the perfect size for some other retail concepts that have been sort of aching to get into Tampa Bay, and so in fact, the brokerage community says, don't worry, we're going to be okay.
All right, let's talk about internships now. Of course, we all know how important they are, but apparently they're changing now when it comes to some companies.
No, there's some really, it used to be that, and certainly at the Business Journal, we used to offer credit for interns, and in our field, internships is the sort of lifeblood of getting kind of practical experiences. We had a panel partnership with CareerSource, and I moderated a panel, and we talked about internships and apprenticeships. Companies are still really working to define them, but the bottom line on some level is you have to pay them. There's some legal issues now related to some decisions that make it very difficult for companies to offer unpaid internships. If the companies can pay folks, that's really a great path to real live work experience that eventually for the companies, hopefully these folks get hired and become a part of those organizations, and it's a way to test people out. And
that's way to get your feet wet.
Completely, and so if you can facilitate that, or companies can really put some energy into that, it can pay off in the long run.
Interesting story.
Indeed.
All right, always good to see you, Alexis.
You too, Dia.
And for more Business Journal headlines, check out the Money section on our mobile app.